Hey everyone, thank you for joining me. My name is Vladimir and you are listening to the book club. This is our first meeting. Book that we read for this meeting was The Third Reconstruction by Peniel Joseph. You're going to hear myself, you're going to hear Dolph, you're going to hear Gaston, and you're going to hear Herbert on this episode. As you know, we pick a book every month. Those who read it can join us and we discuss it. So this is part one of the episode. Part two is going to be coming out shortly. Part one, we discuss more so book and go into the chapters. Part two is a little more of a tangent, and we just relate it to our everyday. So I hope you guys enjoy. Okay. So the first chapter was citizenship. I'm counting introduction as a chapter because I read that as well. So the third chapter, well, no, they say chapter 2 is dignity. So dignity was a good chapter because he went back on his background growing up with his mother, who was a Haitian immigrant. And, you know, I'm guessing all our parents came over here just for better life and things like it. Sounded like his mother came over here. How do you say it? Political exile, because she wanted, I think that was the time of Duvalier or whatever, and she wanted democracy in Haiti. But the way the picture he painted of his mother was great. I'm like, his mom was great. His mom was great. Thank you for joining, Dolph.
Man, this thing be giving me problems, man. I signed on, then my thing died. So I don't like being on the phone.
No, it's not a problem. Yeah, so I started off Dolph saying, did you find it as a hard read? Because I found it as a hard read.
I didn't like.
Oh, we're recording. I'll let you know we're recording.
What I didn't like about the read, it felt like I was reading like a history book. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, it's good information, but it's choppy. Like blah 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 blah. Third construction, abolitionists, going back. This happened, that happened. It wasn't like a flowy read where you can really get into it. It's like I was like forcing myself to read it.
Oh, didn't you feel if you got to the second chapter, dignity? I felt that was a flowy read where he started talking about his mom.
It got better, but that first, I just didn't think that first portion of it. I mean, it started getting into it when he was. I liked it when he was growing up, and then it started getting into, it just felt like from like page, like I'll say maybe 30 to 60, it just felt like it felt like history bookish.
Yeah, because
like,
that was the first chapter. The first chapter was rough, man.
Yeah,
I was like, ugh. But when he started talking about his mom's history, his mom picket lines, and his mom teaching him about Haiti, and his mom sounded like a revolutionist, revolutionary.
It's like your dad.
Yeah, it sounded like my dad. She sounded like my dad. A little more, a little more Black Pantherish than my dad is, but she did sound like my dad. And she grew, she had him learning about politics and all this other stuff, which sounds like my dad. But yeah, when it got to that point of the book, it got an easier read. But then he kind of went back to how it started with the history lesson. But then it got to a point where we lived what he's talking about. Obama to Obama's second term to Trump. And there's one thing that stood out with me in the book, and I think it's because the timing of when the book came out, how he gave high praises to the Black Lives Matter movement. And we all know recently Black Lives Matter, they were being questioned because of the money and how they were using the funds and buying houses and throwing parties and things of that sort. Now they're saying, but that they threw parties for fundraisers, but they were using those Black Lives Matters funding, and they found out, she bought her mom a house and bought family members' houses. So I was waiting for that to come up in the book, but it looks like it didn't because this was very recent.
Out of curiosity, based on this book, when you touch base on that, not to be like that guy, but when the whole BLM movement started, and it's like a lot of people got onto that, I don't want to say wave, but got onto that, that train in terms of Black Lives Matter. What I want to say, allude to, is this: when you guys saw the whole Black Lives Matter, like come into fruition, didn't you have like that slight, oh, something's gonna happen and something's gonna mess up or something's gonna go down later on down the line? You didn't have that innate feeling when you guys actually first heard and saw the movement in its inception?
I got something to chime in on that one, right? Well, the Black Lives Matter happens, right? You got to realize, right? You can go, these are 501c3 organizations, most of them are tax exempt. So you can go through the list of who's paying dues, who's in the organization, so on and so forth, right? So when it's like somebody could be doing like some type of vandalism, disorder, or they doing something wrong and they get yoked up, and then the first thing that come out their mouth is like, man, get the fuck off me, Black Lives Matter. So you as a public, you kind of put Black Lives Matter along with anybody that ever says it. But when you go to the meetings and who's paying dues and stuff like that, not everyone is a Black Lives Matter member. That's one. Number two, no matter what, when I seen that happen, I was like, it's going to be hard for them to move around, because if anything ever happens, it's going to be full exposed, because it's a Black movement and they're going to want to do their best to discredit them, right? So if let's just say there's 100 people that are in the Black Lives Matter movement, one person smacks the shit out their wife, it's going to be front news, just so it could discredit them. Not saying it's right or wrong, right? However, if you look at any entity in the United States, right? Remember the thing I posted yesterday about Congress, when the guy was like, is this NBA or NFL?
Yeah.
If you want to talk about mismanaging funds, if you want to talk about people that are elitists, that are using nepotism to get ahead and all this stuff, you can look at the Black Lives Matter and say, oh my God, they used $1 million or $2 million to buy. If you look at what the United States Congress does, your mayors, your senators, your elected officials, that's not a drop in a bucket compared to what they do with your money. Yeah. So,
fine. But wait, let me because what you're saying is true. But I was always taught, because you're Black, you got to do better.
Do better, yeah.
You got to know to do better, because you say, oh, that I saw the post that you posted, and it's probably all true, but you're not going to see that on Fox News. You probably won't see it on CNN, because some of those people are probably Democrats as well. You know what I'm saying? But something like Black Lives, oh my God, look at Black Lives Matter. They're misappropriating their funds, which in reality, how many 501c3s or are misappropriating their funds, nonprofits? So you have a point there, but they got to be on point, man.
But you knew it was going to mess up at some point, because
I didn't think that. I thought
I knew something was going to happen. I knew something was going to happen. There's so much hate for the unification of Black people, and then having that there were those calling Black Lives Matter movement, rioters, looters, gangs, all that stuff.
Yeah. From your perspective, Herb, what you're saying, yes, I thought something was going to happen. They were going to find something, maybe one of them, or a drunk driving charge or something. But what happened, what was in the news, was from within the Black Lives. It wasn't like something they did outside of the movement. It was within, because they were using the funds donated to them for personal gain. What Dolph was saying is right. People do that all the time, but we got to do better.
Anybody else, Vlad, if you audit anybody else, go to where you live. You live in Rahway. Go audit Rahway and see what councilman has his wife in a position where she's not supposed to be in, and they're collecting money, and they're saying this is used for fundraising, but this guy's buying weed and pussy on the side. Come on, bro.
I know it's true, though. I agree with you.
I know we got better, but there's not one organization in the world that is ran 100% straight up. Not even the religious ones.
But what's sad is it could be. Because it's not like it's mistakes or
pastor not buying weed and pussy.
I'm sorry.
Like, it's not like it can't.
That caught me off guard, man.
It's the truth. It's not like it can't be. It's just people indulge. So it's more controlling your indulgence. It's not like, oh, we were put in a tight spot, so I had to buy myself a house, or it's you're indulging. You see all that money, you probably never seen that much before.
No.
And maybe you could work the book so it looks like something, but you don't know how to do it. But I get what you're saying, though. People do it all the time.
Remember Yele Haiti?
Yeah.
I don't know what the outcome, but their books weren't right too. And at the time, earthquake, we were all sending money to Wycliffe. We were all sending money. I don't know what the ultimate outcome was. I feel that the books just weren't tight enough. You know what I'm saying? You just can't take $50 out and just give it to somebody, or $1,000 out and just be like, all right, this is for this, or that everything has to be done in such a way that anybody picks up your books and they can follow along very easily.
Yeah. All right, so let's get back to the book. So I was looking at the guy in the book. The guy is like, he loves Obama. He's infatuated with Obama. And he was talking about how happy he was for 2008 and the movement. But remember, he also was a person who was deep into history. So he knew Black history. He went to school. He went to college for African American studies and all that. So in the way he puts it is like he was blinded by, Obama being Black, first Black president. Everything was going good. But one thing that I outlined was that did Black people really think that Obama was going to stand up for Black injustices that civil rights movements leaders in the 60s and 70s, and even before that, even during the Jim Crow era, stood up for Black people? It was very Black, pro-Black. And the answer in the book is a pretty much no. That's where I'm getting from. And it's because the way I'm getting from it is Black people got him in, but he also had white voters. He knew how to do the song and dance, and he knew what fires to stoke, and when not to say things. So one part is how they compared, he was meeting the Black Lives Movement founders. I think this was in 2015, 2016 for the first time. It's the three ladies that started the Black Lives Movement, and they met him in the office. And, they were just saying to, Brittany Packnett, she was tear gassed in the streets of St. Louis. The trauma that she and other people experienced and the violence is some of the same violence and trauma that people like John Lewis, Martin Luther King, and Rosa Parks, and that they had went through, so they could bring some type of justice and and get rid of segregation and have equal rights. So now what's funny is that Obama lauded these people. They did great jobs. They fought up for this. If it wasn't for them getting tear gas. And now when these ladies are going through it, Obama's like, well, let's cool down, okay? Let's look at this on a peaceful ending. You get what I'm saying? So he was showing that comparison and contrast. I don't know if anybody has.
I'm not sure if it's like how Black people, I don't want to say Black, white, or whoever it is, but people in general, when you have somebody who looks like you, that representation, that's something that should galvanize, for what's next. Okay, having a conversation as into like, okay, now that we have, a Black president, let's say for example, we have a Black president. This is the images that MLK wanted to actually, all the work that happened with these past civil rights leaders. He's currently not in office. Okay, so we've made it that far, but what's next? And I feel like that's what's the disconnect that a lot of Black people have, is that there's no what's next. After Obama left, after his term, people got sad. But yeah, when he was there, it should have galvanized you to do something else, to leave something for your children. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that what next never happened after Barack was elected. Not that we're putting all our fate into him like he's a messiah, but at the same time, it should galvanize people like, okay, well, he made it this far. What can I do? What's my potential? What am I contributing to, in life, into this movement that my forefathers fought for? What's my contribution? What's my generation contribution? So I feel like that what's next never happened after he got elected.
Well, Herbert, what you said is correct. I feel that Obama, he was everybody's president. So a lot of times you think he's just supposed to do Black stuff. You know what I'm saying? The white women voted for him. A lot of liberals voted for him. Middle age, they voted for him. So it's just not like I'm just a president for Black people, and that's the only thing I can take care of. That's one. Number two, they always say politics is always local, right? The biggest mistake Black people made was they voted Obama in and then they stopped. You need Obama to have support of the senators, the representatives, the Congress, and even all the way down to the mayor. Even though Obama was in office, everything that he tried to put certain things in place, and he didn't have the support. And I think Black people as a whole don't understand how these things really works. Now, when you see Trump come in and he was on some, I don't give a fuck, I'm gonna do whatever I want,
then that was kind of like a wow, I can't believe somebody could actually do that. But even though Trump, he had the House of Representatives, and and you don't always have it as a president. If you have the majority of the House, then you can move and do what you got to do. Now, I don't like in front of Blunt, I don't like to publicly, shame Obama, right? But amongst us, we can be like, yeah, he did kind of let us down in some areas. You know what I'm saying? Like he was pushing like that Masisi agenda, like the gay people. Like, bro, I get Masisi stuff, but there's other things that kind of need to go first in my perspective, right? That's how I feel. But I feel like if he did have the overwhelming support at all levels of government, then he probably could have made a push. But you're not only a black president for black people.
Yeah, I felt that you can't the civil rights leaders that the big names that we know, Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, and there's other smaller names that people don't discuss, James Baldwin, Byron Rustin, and these people weren't senators, they weren't presidents, they weren't they were like pastors, they were grass movement organizers, and they were the ones that were able to move it forward. They knew that doing the bus boycott down south and not riding the bus, well, what will it do? It will hurt the pockets of white people that are operating, white people that are working there, and until they get the proper equality and sit wherever they want to on the bus, so they knew, they organized in a way knowing what was important to them. And I don't think we're organizing a way like that, because yes, it's important to have a president, but the president's not gonna do nothing for you. Martin Luther King wasn't a president, and he still did a lot more. So for us to expect our political leaders to do something to make changes, they get paid. Yes, we pay them, but they also have lobbyists, people who pay them a lot more to tell them what to push. And I just feel that if you expected Obama to get in there and says, black this, they were asking him to defund the police, put more money here, stop this, take you. Now he did do little, they did the releasing people from jail who had things such as petty crimes and things of that sort, or like small drug charges, but he wasn't going to do big splashes, big waves. And I agree with Dolph. It starts with voting people at your district, my councilman in Rahway, it starts from there, because then that person goes into another seat and higher. It starts from the ground up. But I felt, what's his name? Pinel? How do you say
Joseph Pinel?
Yeah. No, I think his first name's not Joseph, it's his last name, right? It's Pinel Joseph. I think he was heartbroken with the Obama that he got, with the first black president that he got.
What do people expect him to have a do-rag on? I don't understand. If you guys can help me, like, enlighten me, what, like, you want him to come out culture with Timbs and jeans?
No, like, that's not it. Because they felt
knock it off, silly.
Yeah, heartbreak. Because they felt culturally Obama was black enough, and he did mention that it was probably hard for Obama, because Obama was raised in Hawaii. Then he moved to, I think, somewhere like in Cali or something. Then he went to Harvard, before he got to Chicago. So a lot of people question, like, well, did he really have the black experience?
Nah, I think
his mother is white, correct? Yeah, he was raised by a white mother in Hawaii. And black people are like, well, how many black people in Hawaii, or how much are you dealing with racism in Hawaii? I don't know, but
every black man feels it, period.
Yes. But you're gonna tell me, a black person raised with their mother in Queens with white cops patrolling the area is gonna feel as much as a black person raised in Hawaii.
You can't say that. You can't say that. The individual feels what the individual feels, and everybody's perspective is everybody's perspective. The fact of the matter is, Obama just can't lift up everything and move. Like we all went to school. We know there's three parts of the government: the judicial, the legislative, the executive. Like, you just can't bust moves like that. You can't do what you want to do. All these things have a way to go about it. Yeah. Even as bully ball as Trump was, He couldn't just do what he wanted to do. That's why they have checks and
but I'm gonna
balances.
tell you this: that nigga tried. That nigga Trump tried.
Yeah,
he tried his best to.
Obama played checkers, man. He doesn't.
Yeah,
he played chess. He doesn't play
played
checkers.
chess. But we've been on for a minute. Let me end it on this note because I my book is full of highlights and all this stuff. But this one thing is, he says in the book, I believe that the struggle for Black dignity and citizenship can be achieved in our lifetime. Do you think that is possible? Because we're about the same age. He's like what? A couple of years older than us? Not even 10.
Yeah, it's probably like his late 40s.
Yeah. So do you believe in that sentence, you guys? I believe that the struggle for Black dignity and citizenship can be achieved in our lifetimes.
Yes and no.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that yes and no too.
Okay, what's the yes?
The yes, as an individual, you can do whatever you want, right? If we look at ourselves from our classmates in school, our friends from church, there's always the individuals that can excel. They're going to be a lawyer. There's going to be a nurse. There's going to be a doctor. There's going to be those people that excel, right? But if you when you talking about dignity, you're talking about as a whole group.
I think he's talking as a group.
As a group, it's going to be no, not in our lifetime.
But it can't be as an individual if it's not as a group, because you can't tell me, yes, you're a doctor, you're a nurse, but still when you're in your car late night driving, you're just another nigga in the car. You know what I'm saying? You're driving through Clark, New Jersey. You could be fucking Jay-Z, just another nigga in the car. So if it's no for the group, for me, it's no for the. No, can it be achieved? I believe it can.
Like you can have an individual status. Like there's Black people that are prominent. And like you pull, like there's white people that, like white cops, you pull over a certain guy, you're like, oh, I'm sorry, sir. Like there's Black people that are prominent. I'm just saying,
but that's within your world. That's if you're like the mayor of a certain town.
Not even.
But you know what I'm saying? That's if you're a doctor in a certain town or somewhere. But if
there's doctors too. There's people that are prominent. The individual.
True. But can they go around the whole country with that prominence? Can they go deep in Mississippi or Louisiana with that?
Nobody can go there.
But I think that's the point he's trying to make. He's trying to make as a whole, can we get to that point?
I think we don't live in those places. We're not living in the backwoods in Money, Mississippi. I'm talking about
but there's niggas that, there's motherfuckers that live out there.
Yeah.
And if you ask them the same question, what would they say? They would probably say no.
I think the answer is still yes, in the sense that yes, that the individual could always
remember it's in our lifetime. So
in our lifetime, yes, the individual could, but as a whole, I think we're too damning to each other.
Gus, you wanted to say something? We got about 8 minutes left.
Oh no, like I said, it was I felt like this book could have been taught in school, if they were doing critical race theory, but after that, it was everything we've heard before, or seen on TV or experienced in life, and I asked you about, why you picked the book, if it was because he was Haitian. You say no,
I didn't know he was Haitian.
So it was kind of like, wow.
You didn't know Pinal Joseph was a Haitian?
No, I didn't know he was Haitian until I read the book.
I didn't know until I started to read it, and I'm like, oh snap! I'm like, oh, he's Haitian. That's why I told Vlad. That's why I picked the book. Yeah. But yeah, it's like I said, it was I'm happy for him as an author, as a Haitian man. He he wrote a good book. Everything you guys said, I agree with. That's pretty much it.
All right, guys, I'm gonna end it with this. I'm just gonna quote him. I learned about, before I ever read W.E.B. Du Bois, I learned about double consciousness from my mother, who seemed capable of loving and criticizing both the United States and Haiti. She loved history, and she loved that I loved it too. She railed against anti-Black racism while stubbornly retaining a belief that Haitians were America's hardest working immigrants ever. Period. His mother, man. Here's the book. Thank you guys for listening. That was the first book club meeting that we had. I plan to record future ones. This one was a little choppy in the beginning and the end because I didn't know what I was going to do with it. But remember that if you read a book, you get to pick a book. And I know Dolph have recently posted that the new book that we're going to read is The New Jim Crow. So that is the next book. Remember that it could be any book. It doesn't have to be nonfiction. It just happens that it's back-to-back nonfiction books, but I had read the book already, and I know it's a good read. So yeah, hopefully you guys could join us next time.